Hey, everybody, welcome to Beyond the Struggle. This is part two of our two-part episodes. If you missed part one, you can click on the link above and follow that. I'm joined again by Mr. Jason Blackledge.
Yes,
Did I
sir.
say my name?
No,
I'm
but
Jeff Monroe.
everyone knows
Cause
you.
I'm so used to you saying my name because you're the host. I'm the co-host.
Co-host and host.
Right.
I just thought it was because everyone knows who you are
Well,
already. So.
I mean, this is what happens when you're popular.
Yeah, man.
right?
Thanks for having me. Thanks
small-
for having me.
big world, small world problems, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining.
Yeah, it just goes back to the, you and I have talked plenty of times in past episodes about how things have changed, and
Yeah.
I think it's really cool for somebody with social media and all this stuff becoming such a big part of
Yeah.
the world and
Yeah,
life
yeah,
today,
yeah.
and to to have somebody tell you that, and I certainly don't think we just honestly, man, you and I just come like you said earlier, we do this.
You're like
Not on camera.
yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, we do this
yeah.
often, and we've done it for years.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, "Hey, why don't y'all do it on camera?" You're like, "Okay," it's we're usually just in a garage or whatever. But to think that, just like the same conversations that we would have, together, that it could possibly help somebody else. And funny because I know for myself, never thought that was again, that would be something, and it's cool that there's a platform and that Woodlake's doing this, that allowing people to be able to see it, to be able to see all the great stuff you and I have to say, man.
I think that's another. You just kind of hit on something like the fact that we do this almost every Sunday. Of course, there's a month sometimes that we go, but then we get back on track. But the fact that we'll sit in the garage and talk about personal growth and talk about God and talk about, where am I being selfish in situations? How can I be a better person? That is freaking insane, right? You 6-7 years now. You're coming up on 7, right?
No,
6,
5.
Yeah. Look, see how much you've grown, dude. Right? No, go back 6, go back 5.5. You're not in a garage talking to me or talking to somebody about how you can be a better person. How can I change the person that others see? Or how do I get out of this thought process of me being angry at this or that and that? I can assure you that is the last thing I would be doing almost 11 years ago. Yeah. I know damn well that's the last thing I was gonna do.
I was talking to somebody yesterday, man, and it was kind of he was talking about this person was telling me they still they were, I guess the word reservations, right? And they said, I still don't know if I want to use substances or not.
Yeah.
And I just asked him, I said, man, maybe you're not asking the right question. I was like, do you want to be happy? Do you want to, happy, joyous, free? And he said, yes. And I said, well, can you do that if you use substances? And he said, no. All right. I said, do you want to be do you want to have a family? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, can you do that using using substances? No. Do you want to be financially stable at some point in your life? This and that. And, and I guess as I was talking to him about that, just kind of seeing how what I saw is how my perspective or how the questions have changed for me. It's today it's not do I want to use or not? Do I want to drink or not?
That's not an option anymore, and it's not even a thought.
No, but it's they continue to change. It's the questions I have for myself, and I guess thankful, gratitude. Here we're back to that that those have, right, because that shows growth, shows change, shows that that effort that's there, And it is crazy, man. I think back a lot of times about conversations we've had in the past, and how, I remember you telling me one time though that you were like, man, like if I'm standing, and I'm gonna mess this up,
Mhm.
man. But if I'm standing in front of a year looking,
Mhm.
like saying that's gonna happen a year from now or this and that, like how long that
Yep.
seems. But then if I'm standing back looking at
Mhm.
the past year, how short it
Yeah.
seems, and like I don't know if that's also me getting old or
Mhm.
something like that, but how true I'm seeing that, is
Right.
like I just never thought that a lot of this stuff in life today was
Yeah.
possible.
It's, and that's why it's so hard for, um, early recovery, people getting sober early, and they're looking so far into this, trying to accumulate this first year of recovery. Is
Hmm.
like, I want to pick up that token, want to pick
Yeah.
up that chip, and then you make a year and you look back and it's like, man, that wasn't no time at all, but it
Yeah.
seems so far. And it's in what you're talking about is kind of like the things in your life and this, I've mentioned this before, like this concept of time.
Hmm.
We put so much value in like time and things we need to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like taking the action and let the accomplishments just take place, right? We're looking at it so far ahead, and then once we've completed that, once it's happened in our lives, we look back and like, man, I was really like stressing over this, and like I thought at that time it was impossible for me to be able to acquire something like
Hmm.
this, and then you look back, and I don't know. I do want to say it's God, but it's also the manifestation of things in our lives.
Hmm.
Um, as long as it's pure, honest, loving all these good qualities in life, and I think those are the things that we can manifest if we think about it enough and we apply the actions to acquire these things in our life. And it's easy for us to manifest the ugliness in life,
Yeah.
the negative in life, because we're so used to that, right? We're so like conditioned to manifest like the bad things in our life, like, well, something bad happened, look, I told you so, right? But what am
Hmm.
I doing to change any of those portions of my life? And that's some of the things that I mentioned to new guys, right, that are coming in, and or guys that I work with, and they tell me about, this happened and this happened, and and she did this and that and that. Well, um, some of this is a direct consequence of your action,
Yeah.
right? And you have to look at that. Um, and it's like when I am in that life, right? And I'm so depressed and I don't, have any reason to live. And I have all these things, like it's so easy for me to get in that place where everything I'm doing, I am manifesting my life to be like this because I'm not doing anything different. There's nothing honest or loving about anything I'm doing,
Hmm.
right? Either to myself or to others, you know?
So, man, you just said this, and I figured why not ask. So, like, if
Mhm.
there's somebody watching right now, um, that feels that way, that like kind of what you just talked
Mhm.
about, like, the hopeless, this,
Yeah.
that, and looking at the one
Yeah.
day, the one this, one that,
Mhm.
it's like, what do you tell them, man?
I mean, as I, I don't really have any particular thing that I say. I just sit there and I can only talk about myself and my
Hmm.
experiences. I can't talk about somebody else's experiences in the life that they're living. All I can do is talk about my experience and how I got to this point in my life and kind of what led me to this. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I talk about that. I talk about how I constantly thought that I'm bad luck, and like I told you that I must have screwed somebody over in a past life. I would say anything, like I said, anything that would justify my thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I ask them, I'm like, so would you agree that you would possibly feel the same way? Like, you're either bad luck, you got a bad luck
Mhm.
charm or something, like, what about you? What are you doing to change any of this?
Yeah.
Right. And like, a lot of people don't like to be confronted with the truth
Yeah.
because, I mean, yeah, there's that old cliche, the truth does hurt, but it does, right? But it also sets you free, right? The truth shall set you free, but it's true,
Yeah.
right? That is, there's a lot of meaning in that. And, it's like if you kind of look between the lines and try to decipher that, it's like the truth shall set you free. It was like, because I've been living such a lie, right? That I can't decipher what the actual truth in my life is. When somebody actually tells it to me and I'm willing to listen, then I start to see some freedom. You know what I mean? And when I start to kind of see that freedom, it opens me up into other possibilities of my life to be willing to see more truth and to change some of those things. You know what I mean? And I can go down like a rabbit hole with somebody and try to like, get them to open up, and then we'll both be going down rabbit holes, but eventually, we're going to get to where we need to be.
Yeah.
Um I guess when God decides we need to be where we need to be,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody, I guess it was last week, and it's like, what's the like absolute worst case scenario? If somebody's watching, somebody's struggling, somebody's going through it, not sure
Mhm.
what to do, kind of in that hopeless stage. Because it is it's so tough to see anything but that,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I know it's so much easier to sit here, you and I today, and say this, but like my thought is, is that like, why not just start the process, start making some changes. The worst case is
Mhm.
I'm right back where I, like,
Yeah, I think you said
yeah, I
that,
said it,
like you was on another
another
podcast, not
podcast. Yeah.
associated with Woodlake or uh, Ray Media.
Yeah, they said, well, they were like, "Can we do it without that guy Jeff?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, we,
Yeah, the ratings aren't going to be as good,
no,
but
but it's just like, to me, it's like, I guess, man, like, I honestly, as simple as that is, like, never thought that.
Mhm.
Like, it's like, if I just like take some suggestions, if I do a
Mhm.
couple of these things, and I
What's the
decide,
worst that could happen?
it's all
Like, the worst
bullshit.
that could happen is like your life get better and like you start having things, or
I'm
you're
right back.
you're exactly where you were.
Yeah, where I
Like,
was.
I mean, that's that if nothing changes type
Mhm.
deal. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I think that's like that point to where you are at. We've talked about the rock bottom and stuff a lot of times, but like, I, at that point, that's kind of like the bottom. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I can take the suggestion of abstaining from alcohol and drugs, doing, look, dude, I told you, I set out to try to disprove
Yeah, you told me that when we first met.
the big book of Alcoholics
Mhm.
Anonymous, right? I set out to disprove that because I tried to disprove that God was real, to people who
Mhm.
believed. Like, I had to try to disprove your belief, right?
Mhm.
I tried to disprove this program worked. Like, and the only way I could do those things to disprove something is to actually do this to
And
try to
then prove
disprove
it
it,
not work.
right?
Yeah.
Um, all I can say is like I'm still trying to disprove it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the only way I could do that is work the things that I have to work. You know what I mean? Like, and like you said, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I have to do the things in order to get the results
Mhm.
from all they're saying. And look, I'll keep trying to disprove it till I move on to a higher plane in this universe.
Or you prove it wrong.
Right? Yeah, or I
Or-
prove it wrong, and then I write my own book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah. A red one.
Yeah, a red one.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, that's, to kind of circle back around. He took off our clocks. I don't know where we're at.
It's time.
To circle back around to gratitude is like, that's gratitude for
Mhm.
me. Okay, to know that what's the worst that could happen? Well, I am living in the best possible life that could happen
Yeah.
by just doing that. And like, just, you're my counselor, and you say what's the worst could happen, but just by doing it and abstaining and follow these suggestions, like, fast forward to 11 years, like, this is the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
You know, the worst that could happen for me is like, I got a career, I got a home, I got somebody that I love, I got friends, I got family, and like, these 97% of these people like me in their life.
97.
97%.
He actually, you did the survey.
Yeah, I did all the data, all the crunching. 97%.
You know, man, I think that I don't know if I enjoyed this. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know if anybody gets anything out of this.
Well, all that we can hope for is that we can reach one person.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that, you know, closing, man, you know, is just, you know, if you're out there and you're struggling, just like make the start, pick up the phone or do this or do that. It's like, you know, whatever that may be, just to make the start. Like I can't, you said it earlier, man, that I can't expect to take no action and something get done in any way, shape, or form. It's, you know, and that rings true for me getting healthier also.
Yeah.
You know, it's available. The help is available.
So much help is out there.
Yeah, like more than ever now. You know, and just, you know, what do I have to lose? You know, give it a shot.
And, you know, I don't know if we say this enough too, like, you know, give the admissions number for them to call. It's 225-939-3656, right?
That's the 24-hour one.
That's the 24-hour admissions number. You know, if you don't get somebody, hey, put a comment on YouTube or TikTok, you know, on this podcast. If you need some help, reach out to us. I mean, you know, we're always answering, you know, and even our CEO is always the first one to comment on a video or something like that. We're here.
Yeah.
You know,
and the help's there. You know, I gotta do something. And then, like I said, what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen?
All right, man. Well,
I'm glad you came, man. I'm glad I convinced you, and I was in the process of calling, like, are you leaving me dry, bro? And he's like, ting, 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 ting.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Struggle. Make sure to, I always mess this up, like, comment, subscribe, and share.
And share.
Yeah. All right,
That's
guys.
all right.
We'll see you next time.